Leadership is a very hard concept to define, and yet there are so many books written about leadership. It has been said that there are more books written on leadership than any other topic out there. And in the past few years, we have seen books written specifically for women in leadership, and rightfully so. The world of work has always had challenges for women. In the early 20th century, we had to fight for the ability to work outside the home, and progress was slow. The 1960s and 1970s marked a turning point in the feminist movement and introduced anti-discrimination laws like the Civil Rights Act and the Equal Pay Act. However, women are still faced with unequal pay, unconscious bias, and discrimination. The glass ceiling, the invisible barrier that prevents women and minorities from reaching the top rungs of the ladder, kept most women out of the top levels of the organization. The women that did rise to the top faced hurdles at every turn, often facing harassment, disgruntled colleagues, and blatant sexism. And while we have made massive strides, we are nowhere near equality. At the current pace of change, it could take another 150 years before women reach parity in corporate leadership. That means not even our daughters or our daughters' daughters will experience the benefit of a world that is as accommodating to women as it is to men. Now you might ask yourself, why is it going to take so long to reach gender parity in corporate leadership? And the answer is due to a combination of complex and deeply rooted factors. Some of those reasons include implicit bias and stereotypes, lack of representation, the leaky pipeline, unconscious bias, training gaps, and the lack of flexible work arrangements. But one that is often overlooked is leadership styles and expectations. The prevalence of mainly male leadership roles has led to a pervasive model of leadership that often emphasizes traits and behaviors traditionally associated with men. As a result, women entering leadership roles are often expected to conform to these established norms, learning how to lead through a lens that has been shaped by male experiences and perspectives. But women, even the most highly successful and respected, face a different set of expectations and stereotypes than men, so we need leadership skills to match. It is time that we stopped telling women to use a man's playbook. In this session, we will cover the 5 non-negotiable skills women need to lead effectively and the unique strengths and qualities that women bring to the table. Decision making. Decision making is a non-negotiable skill for any leader, but especially for women. But here's the thing, decision making isn't a single skill. It involves many skills. You have to be able to clarify your priorities, come up with options, analyze the options, test assumptions, make a selection that matches your top priorities, generate buy-in, and prepare for what happens if you're wrong. And quite often, you have to do all of this with pace. Decision-making is especially important in the workplace because women typically have to prove themselves more often than men. This is due to gender biases, historical norms, and societal expectations, and is a phenomenon known as the prove it again bias, which has shown that a man typically only has to make one good decision to be seen as a solid decision maker, but a woman must show that her ability to make good decisions is repeatable. So how can you make better decisions? Start with your intuition. While your gut may not always be right, there is a way to test if you can trust your skilled intuition, and that is with the feedback test. Ask yourself honestly, have I regularly received immediate feedback on this kind of decision in the past? If the answer is no, or I haven't made this decision often enough, you know you cannot trust your intuition. But you can take that intuition and you can test it with data. If the answer is yes, go with your gut. If you face a hard decision, remind yourself that you are using your head, because that mindset leads to clear thinking than if you were telling yourself you're following your heart or going with your gut. The second non-negotiable skill is honesty and trust. A team of Pew researchers asked 2,800 American adults in different roles and occupations what they considered absolutely essential qualities in a leader, and honesty ranked number 1, with 84% of respondents ranking truthfulness as an essential skill. You can cultivate trust and honesty through leading by example. Demonstrate the behaviors and values you expect from your team and colleagues. Model honesty, transparency, and ethical decision-making in your actions and in your interactions with others. Be as transparent as possible. Share information about the organization or team goals, challenges, and decisions. This will build your credibility and help others understand the bigger picture. Offer constructive feedback regularly and often. When you provide feedback in a constructive and respectful manner and provide guidance for improvement while focusing on strengths, you build trust through your intentions. And you can continue to build your trust and honesty by making yourself accessible to others, investing in relationships, respecting confidentiality, and celebrating wins together. Empathy. Lean into empathy. Want to hear some cool news? One neuroscience study from Cambridge University found that women scored 10 points higher on an 80-point empathy quotient test than men. So let's lean into that superpower. Empathy allows you to connect with your team and colleagues on a deeper level, understanding their needs and creating a supportive and inclusive environment. It helps with relationship building, communication, conflict resolution, and adaptability. The opposite of empathy is judgment, and to judge is to be human. But in order to practice empathy, you must suspend judgment. If you find yourself in a situation where your knee-jerk reaction was to judge, ask yourself these questions instead to help you shift your perspective. What might I not know? Challenge your assumption by asking yourself what you might be missing about the person or the situation. Consider there might be factors that you're unaware of. What might they be feeling? Put yourself in the other person's shoes and try to identify their emotions. What are their motivations? Explore what might be motivating the person's actions or behavior. Understanding their perspective can humanize their choices. Am I making assumptions? Ask yourself if your judgment is based on assumption or fact, and be willing to challenge those assumptions. Remember, practicing empathy is a continuous effort that requires self-awareness and the willingness to get curious and challenge your own biases. When you pause and you ask these questions, you reframe your thoughts and approach situations with greater understanding and compassion, you step into your power as an effective leader. Skill number 4 is courage. Courage is essential for effective leadership because it involves making challenging decisions, taking risks, and navigating uncertainties. But it is a vital attribute for women because we must also overcome bias, break stereotypes, and deal with microaggressions. Courage is needed to address those while maintaining professionalism. In fact, as I have navigated my journey up the ladder, courage became one of my core values. Whenever I find myself stuck with a hard decision or I'm not sure what I should do, I ask myself, is this the courageous thing to do? Sometimes that means speaking truth to power when I see a problem, facing setbacks head on, or standing up for my values even when it isn't popular. When you embrace courage, you step into your power by embracing vulnerability, taking responsibility, overcoming self-doubt, and influencing and inspiring others. And last but certainly not least is confidence. Confidence is a quality that every leader, regardless of where they are in life, requires. When you have confidence, you are empowered to make bold decisions, inspiring teams, and navigate challenges with resilience. You may be surprised to know that it has been found that success correlates more closely with confidence than it does with competence. Yes! There is evidence that confidence is more important than ability when it comes to getting ahead. Confidence is also partly genetic, and while some people are simply born with more confidence than others, it was discovered that male and female brains do indeed work differently in ways that directly affect our self-assurance. This is a controversial, but also true fact. Now, confidence is only part science. It is also an art. The latest research shows that we can literally change our brains in ways that affect our thoughts and behaviors at any age, which means that we can choose to expand our confidence. To build confidence, we must take direction from Nike's playbook and just do it. Action builds confidence. When we take action, we prove to ourselves that we can do hard things. Another powerful tool to build confidence is to pivot our mindset. Instead of saying, I can't do that, say, I haven't done that yet. That one simple word implies that it is something that can be done. You just haven't done it yet. And if you still need a little boost, play the tape forward. Ask yourself, what is the worst that could happen? Once you have established the worst case scenario, I want you to then flip the script and ask yourself, what is the best thing that could happen? And see if that empowers you. When confidence emanates from our core, we are at our most powerful. This combination of skills is imperative for effective leadership and will not only propel you up the corporate ladder, but it also sets a positive example for others to follow. As women in leadership, we must pave the road so that others can walk it. And as you lean into traits like empathy, decision-making, trust and honesty, courage and confidence, and embrace a willingness to learn, you will find that you are well equipped to lead.